What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So wouldn't you know it, another big leak hits Nintendo, and this one has to do with what I guess now is their big summer release, and one game that people have been waiting a long time to finally get. So we're going to go over that, of course, no spoilers here today. Also, we are going to be talking about Microsoft's involvement apparently in a pretty big revival on the Xbox platform that has sent several games up to the top of their own sales charts. And we'll also be talking about a big time sale that's currently ongoing. This, though, for physical copies of games across all different platforms. So if you guys enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button. Helps out a ton. And if new here to the Spawnwave channel, make sure you subscribe down below. We're going to start today with Game Pass for the second half of July. Now, Microsoft did announce these titles, and I looked at it immediately, realized there wasn't anything massive that jumps off the page, but I think there's some pretty good variety here. So let's take a look over on news.xbox.com, and we'll start right away. A little card at the top they have here with Tectonica, that's in game preview, out now, cloud, console, and PC. Also out alongside of Tome, cloud, console, and PC, and The Cave, that's cloud and console. Moving to July 19th today, Maquette, that's console and PC. July 20th, we have Figment 2, Creed Valley, cloud, console, and PC. The Wandering Village, that's cloud, console, and PC. Moving up to July 25th, Serious Sam, Siberian Mayhem, cloud, PC, and Xbox Series X and S. And then on July 31st, we have Vemba, that's console and PC. That's then available on day one with Game Pass. And then August 1st, a game that I'm familiar with that I think is very, very good and more people should check out. That's Celeste, cloud, console, and PC. So yeah, if you haven't checked Celeste out, absolutely definitely check that one out. For me, maybe Serious Sam. I used to play those games back in the day, and it's gonna kind of show up here in Game Pass, so why not? Once again, though, nothing massive that jumps off the page, but I think there's some variety here, definitely some new experiences for people to check out. Also, one game that I am looking forward to is Payday 3. I really liked Payday 2, but I'll admit it's been a while since I played it, and I went back to check it out, and definitely needs that sequel to more modernize that gameplay and the loop and all of this. And fortunately, that's coming up in September. However, we did get some unfortunate news for the game that is releasing in September, and we can see this posted up. This was transcribed by USA Today, and this is during a live stream with the brand director, who says you will be able to play by yourself, but I do believe you will have to have a connection in order to play. Because it's made in Unreal Engine and cross-progression and cross-play, I do believe we need you to be online. So yeah, unfortunate stuff that you will have to have an internet connection to play the single-player side of Payday. Now, the idea of Payday is you will be playing with friends anyway online, but there are times where you want to jump on and just go through a few heists solo. Maybe you have 30 minutes or so to do so, and it's not going to take, you don't have enough time to get everyone together in a room and run one or two heists. So in that sense, yeah, it's pretty annoying for more and more games to be coming out with this always online connection, because remember, that also leaves up the possibility that the game itself maybe doesn't do well and just gets shut down completely, and then you can't even play offline. Oh, and we do have Star Ocean, the second story R, coming up November 2nd. Another big game to look forward to. The second half of 2023, looking pretty good, but this one we've been getting bits and pieces of information around some of the features that'll be included, and it looks like Square is definitely spending a good bit of time on this title, and we can see this posted up, where it says Star Ocean, the second story R will include 3 options of voice acting to choose from. There's English voice acting from the PSP version, new JP voice recordings from the original PS1 cast, and JP voice acting from the PSP version. And you could switch between these anytime throughout the game. So that's really cool to have those kind of options. Of course, if you just want to do the old nostalgic recording, that is there, but also them having new voice recordings outright from the original cast on the PS1. That's pretty awesome. So again, it seems like Square is actually putting a good bit of effort into this release, and I'm hoping it turns out to be a really solid release, because I'd like to see more from Star Ocean and not necessarily just the new ones, because that's something they've struggled with. This, though, looks like they really have something here. So exciting stuff, looking forward to November. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with Nintendo and this major leak that's now hit them days ahead of what's shaping up to be their big summer release. We can see this post up on Nintendo Everything, where they say Pikmin 4 is the latest Nintendo game ROM to have seen an online leak, and it comes just a few days ahead of the official launch. And really yesterday, word was going around that it had been dumped and was going to appear on typical sources, we'll say, online with that ROM basically being available, and more and more places started to report it, and I was able to get confirmation that it is indeed out there. And what this, of course, means is that I guess somebody got it early, broken street date, fell off the back of a truck, found its way out the back door of a warehouse or something. Either way, it ended up in someone's hands who could dump the game cartridge to their system and then, of course, distribute it online. And at that point, it's just everywhere. And a few things will come of this really today, and then, of course, tomorrow, and then leading into release. It'll most likely be data mined all over the place. So we will get some information, maybe bits and pieces of the development side of things based on what's in those files. And then you'll get just spoilers outright. I mean, you're probably going to see all kinds of information around this game, of course, on YouTube and on Twitter and other forums with spoilers and stuff. Although, I guess the Pikmin story isn't necessarily something that can be spoiled as heavily as The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, and that was a whole thing when that one leaked online. There's also a patch that's already live, it appears, for Pikmin 4, and this was shown over on Nintendo Life. This is the version 1.0.1, and the inclusion is just various issues have been addressed to improve the gameplay experience. So not very specific as to what was fixed or patched, probably just bugs and maybe some performance things here and there. But that'll already be part of, say, your digital download if you've already preloaded it or are planning to do so from the eShop. And it does feel like we're to the point where every single game from Nintendo now on the Switch, if it's worth dumping, I guess the one thing everybody 1-2-Switch had is no one cared enough about it to even go that far. But in the case of these more anticipated titles, yeah, this is going to be something that happens every single time. And the interesting thing is going to be following Nintendo as to what they do about this going into their next generation, because the response would be heavily locking down their next platform and learning from what's happened here, which is don't use a stock NVIDIA chip that's already kind of been exploited, or at least has so much documentation out there that, yeah, you can find these ways to circumvent that hardware. I assume Nintendo and NVIDIA are going to come together and make a highly customized chip that will be much less prone to these different exploits that are being used right now to dump these games and distribute online. And Pikmin 4, Pikmin doesn't have the same sales history that we've seen with other major Nintendo IPs, but still, it is one that has actually been growing, of course, with Pikmin 3 Deluxe showing up on the Switch, the best-selling one. Seems like it's primed for a spot to, I guess, become the best-selling Pikmin, if nothing else because of that install size. But when you have stuff like this, it could legitimately hurt Pikmin sales technically, because it doesn't actually have that big mainstream appeal that Mario or Zelda or something has. But I do still expect this to be the best-selling Pikmin overall when it releases, and we'll find out more information around how it did first week sales next week in Famitsu. Next up, let's talk about Microsoft, some Activision Blizzard, and Call of Duty, which has seen a massive revival on the Xbox platform. And I say revival because these are previous Call of Duty games, and we discussed this a bit, just seeing, wow, people are going back to these older titles like Black Ops, and we see tens of thousands of people now signing in and just playing the game. It is backwards compatible on the Xbox Series, so that makes it a bit easier if you want to go through a nostalgia trip one night, right? And the fact that they're also on sale for $10 or $15 digitally, again, it makes it very easy to pick up one of these games and hop online. But I think people were trying to figure out the backstory here. Why did these servers all of a sudden just get fixed and now they're completely playable? Well, take a look. This posted up over on Twitter from Modern Warfare 2 Informer, saying it's confirmed it was actually Microsoft that went ahead and fixed the old Call of Duty servers. Sources close to Activision confirm. And this makes a lot of sense for Microsoft now, obviously, with what's going on with Activision Blizzard and how that appears to be closing. I mean, the timing, it's hard to ignore that the timing there, right? And in fact, you can see some of the effect on this one with Tom Warren pointing out that a bunch of Xbox 360 Call of Duty games are now the top selling games in the Xbox store after Microsoft fixed matchmaking issues. And yeah, top paid games: Call of Duty Black Ops 2, Modern Warfare 2, Black Ops, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 cross-gen bundle, that's the newest one. But then you go over that, Modern Warfare 3. I mean, I really enjoyed Black Ops 2. I really enjoyed Modern Warfare 2. Really good games. I might go back online and play some of those, especially now that the servers are repaired. When I played it on the 360, it was a disaster. I did an entire video on that, right? Going back on Xbox Live on the 360. Eventually, I did get into a room. It worked. Some people were using like the aimbot trainers and stuff, and you would spawn and die immediately. But there were a couple of rooms I got into where people were just running around having a good time. So now 50,000, 60,000 people online just kind of playing on their Xbox Series for fun with that nostalgia trip. It might be worth checking out again. And for Microsoft, really shows what they can get out of that Call of Duty franchise just like that. I mean, they fix some servers and all of a sudden these games explode up the sales charts. Yeah, Call of Duty, worth fighting over in the courtroom, and when you see stuff like this, kind of makes sense. Next up, let's talk about that PlayStation 5 Slim that's been rumored for quite some time. Tom Henderson has done a ton of reporting over on Insider Gaming about this product, alongside of an apparent PlayStation 5 Pro, and that Q Lite or Project Q that we know now is a thing. Well, it appears Sony is moving into position to announce it, and kind of makes sense considering we're heading into August, and if Sony wants to sell this thing for the holidays, they might want to announce it somewhat soon so they can get these out to retail and of course start the marketing campaign for it. Well, we can see this post up over on Twitter. This from Nick, or Xbox era Nick, saying, I had heard a little while back that there would most likely be an August show for PlayStation. The plan was to reveal the Slim there. Maybe they're going earlier to combat Xbox. ABK News. I don't know if Sony's going to move stuff around like that just because of the Xbox ABK stuff necessarily. But this is a quote tweeting the snitch who just kind of, I don't know, showed up back out of retirement with a P, an X, and an S. People were reading from that all over the place. I don't know. Did PlayStation announce a Square Enix merger with an unlisted YouTube video? People are reading into that at first as an acquisition. I don't think that's at all what that means there. Could be wrong. I mean, sure, I guess Sony could have randomly announced that they've acquired Square Enix. Not gonna put my money on that one. Could it be a PlayStation Slim? Yeah, that's at least the most probable thing. Could also just be referencing a game announcement or something there as well. Or maybe based on this tweet here, it was actually PXS being Pokemon Sleep. Yeah, that's disappointing enough to be correct. But if this PlayStation 5 Slim is correct, and I gotta say, Tom Henderson was talking about that Q Lite, that Project Q handheld, and a lot of people are like, that just doesn't make sense. Why would Sony do that? And then they show up and actually talk about it and introduce it in a show. Yeah, why wouldn't they show us a PlayStation 5 Slim in a state of play? Could still be a press release that they just kind of throw out there one Tuesday morning or something, and it's like, hey, you can pick it up later on this holiday, because all it's going to be, we believe, is just a revised PS5, hopefully one that's slimmed down, but with that detachable disk drive. That's the part I'm most curious about, and one of the reasons I want to get my hands on that newer PS5 Slim, because I want to see exactly how all of that's going to work. So we'll keep our eyes out for it, but it does at least appear something is moving in the background with Sony, with PlayStation. Could it be because this ABK Microsoft stuff is wrapping up, or have they always had this planned out from the start? I'm thinking they had this planned out, but we'll see here soon. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about a big sale that's currently ongoing, and it has to do with physical copies of games. And I like to bring those up because a lot of times we see sales and it's all for the digital stuff on these different storefronts like the eShop or PlayStation Network or Xbox Live. Well, soon it'll just be, I guess, Xbox or Microsoft Store. But this is from GameFly. I've had good experiences with them. Pretty much every time they've had sales, I have picked up a few things here and there, and I've gotten lucky. It's been the case and the game disc. Of course, no manual, because who needs those anymore? But let's take a look here over on the GameFly website, starting with the PlayStation 5 Forspoken. If you've been holding out on it, it's $20. Square has been releasing a ton of patches for it, and based on Digital Foundry's latest video, they've actually made quite a few improvements to it. So there's that. Dead Island 2 at $30, Jedi Survivor at $40. That's one that EA still has some work to do, we'll say that. But then we have NBA 2K23 at $12.99, Trek to Yomi, $14.99, the Callisto Protocol, $19.99. That's actually a pretty good price for Callisto. I would definitely recommend that one. At the time of this recording, the Nintendo Switch section got absolutely hammered, but there's still Sonic Colors Ultimate at $20, Sonic Origins Plus at $28, and Gigantosaurus Dino Kart at $14.99. So there you go. But then moving over to the Xbox Series X, Marvel's Midnight Suns, $19.99. Dead Space Remake, $24.99. Gotham Knights, if you were holding out for a steep discount, it's $14.99. That's not bad. I know the 30 FPS lock was a whole thing, but I mean, for 15 bucks, some of these games are worth picking up even for the collection at some of these prices, right? Callisto Protocol, though, at $19.99. WWE 2K23 at $29.99. Oh, and Like a Dragon Ishin, that's an awesome game. $19.99. So I'll leave a link down below in the sources, of course, so you can check all this out and leave some suggestions down below in the comments if there's anything good there you spot. And before we go to the comment of the day, we're gonna take a look at the poll that I posted up yesterday, where I ask, are you picking up Pikmin 4? 16% say yes, buying it ASAP. 31% say maybe later if there's a sale, and then 52% say no, I'm not interested in Pikmin. Okay, so there's 52% who say they're not interested, and then 48% who say they're at least mildly interested, might even wait for a sale. I could see Pikmin 4 just going on sale down the road anyway. The big franchises from Nintendo, those are the ones that tend to just always be full price, but I could see Pikmin 4 being part of one of those GameFly discounts at some point, right? But this is a game that many people, obviously Pikmin fans, have definitely been waiting for, but I still think in general, Pikmin is a very unique game and one that's interesting because it's going to be on Unreal Engine, and it's one that Miyamoto is heavily involved in, and he has taken that step back from game development. So from time to time, when we do get a Miyamoto-led project, I am at least interested enough to check it out. So I will be picking up Pikmin 4 and seeing what it's all about. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day, as you're seeing here. This is from Anthony, who says, I was saying that Nintendo might get some stuff still because Microsoft and Nintendo have a different relationship than with Sony, but people on their internet don't believe me. No, I do believe Nintendo's still gonna get some games from Microsoft. Anything Minecraft related, it's probably gonna be on the Switch. Minecraft is just incredibly popular on that platform. Even in Japan, it's done really well for Microsoft. That's something to definitely keep in mind, though, going forward. Microsoft really wants to have some growth in Japan and be able to get some of their franchises on a platform that's already incredibly successful there would work for them in the long run, especially when it comes to pushing things like Game Pass or just the Xbox brand down the road. So if they can have different titles on the Switch, whether it's from them or Activision or Bethesda, ZeniMax, any of that, it at least makes sense for them to do so. And that's going to be the biggest question is, let's say Banjo-Kazooie, just we'll say Banjo, makes a return, maybe 2 years from now or something. Would that also be on the Switch or the next gen system from Nintendo at that point? Because to me, it makes a lot of sense. There is an audience there that should embrace Banjo after what happened with Smash and how excited people were. And there's probably a lot of money for Microsoft to make across the world with the Switch, but also in Japan. So something to keep an eye on as we go forward. And ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button. If not, hit the dislike. Leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today. Well, there's another Nintendo Switch game leaking out early, this one being Pikmin 4. Are you, of course, keeping off the internet, trying to avoid any spoilers? And what do you think Nintendo's going to do next generation to kind of combat all these leaked games getting out there? And then also, what about Microsoft reviving the Call of Duty servers across the board and those games just skyrocketing up the sales charts? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.